Have you ever thought about how much athletes actually travel? Did you know that an NBA team can play about 41 away games per season? I know what you're thinking. Pretty freaking cool, right? New destinations, private jets, hot flight attendants, a dream life. But what happens when those travel plans don't go the way that they're supposed to? What happens when the teams don't get to their destination? Well, that's exactly what happened to the Old Christian Club rugby team. Imagine being on your way to a match, full of anticipation and excitement, just for the journey to turn disastrous. Tragically, the plane crashed in the Andes Mountains, leaving survivors to fend for themselves in an unforgiving landscape. So what happened? How did this happen? Whose fault was it, if anyone's fault? Let's go through this step by step. So let's find out a little bit about the departure, where they were coming from, what kind of plane they took. The Old Christian Club rugby team departed from Montevideo, Uruguay on October 12, 1972. The team was flying to Santiago, Chile for a match against the Chilean team. The flight, chartered by the Uruguayan Air Force, was on a Fairchild FH-227D aircraft and was scheduled to land in Santiago after a stopover in Mendoza, Argentina. Tragically, the plane never made it to its final destination, crashing in the Andes Mountains. So let's start with the plane. This was a Fairchild FH-227D. This is a military plane. This is huge, but this is still the 70s. They don't have the same reliability that we would in today's age. So the flight between Uruguay to Chile is about 800 nautical miles. That's like going from Miami to Washington, D.C. To get there, they had to fly over the Andes Mountains. But where is the Andes Mountains? Let's find out. Andes Mountains are located in South America, running along the western coast of the continent. They are the longest continental mountain range in the world, stretching approximately 7,000 kilometers, that's 4,300 miles, from north to south. The Andes pass through several countries, including Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. For those of you that don't know about the Andes Mountains, there's places, spots in the Andes Mountains that is so cold. We're talking below 30 degrees. This is harsh weather. So how did this all happen? Well, according to Wikipedia, the inexperienced co-pilot Lieutenant Colonel Dante Hector Laguara was piloting the aircraft at the time of the accident. He mistakenly believed the aircraft had overflown Curicó, the turning point to fly north, and began descending towards what he thought was Purahual Airport in Santiago de Chile. He failed to notice that instrument readings indicated he was still about 43 miles east of Curicó. Laguara, upon regaining visual flight conditions, saw the mountain and unsuccessfully tried to gain altitude. The aircraft struck a mountain ridge, shearing off both wings and the tail cone. The remaining portion of the fuselage slid down a glacier at an estimated 220 miles per hour, descending about 2,379 feet before ramming into an ice and snow mound. Wow. Could you imagine? 45 passengers were on this flight, all of which included family members, crew, coaches, trainers, and obviously the team members. Immediately as the plane hit, 12 people died. Boom, they're gone. And over the next several days, obviously more would follow because of the conditions and injuries. And the worst part about it is that for 8 days, search and rescue would fly around the area and unsuccessfully find this plane for 8 days, and then they just called it off. They just called off the whole rescue. For 8 days, that's it? That's all you guys looked like? That's crazy. Now this is where the story gets really crazy. These survivors were out there for over 2 months, and obviously they had to eat. So what do? As people were dying, they started eating their friends and family. Yes, you heard right. They were eating each other. Straight cannibalism. And honestly, I can't even blame them, guys. Like, what would you do? What would you do if you were stranded in an environment like the Andes Mountains, trying to survive, and people around you are dying? You're gonna eat them. At least I feel like I would do anything to survive in a situation like that. I'm already alive, I need to survive now. It's just like a really crazy story. Like, what an experience for these men to be out there with their families and then have to make a decision like that, it's just unimaginable. So how did they get out of this situation? Well, there were two players that made the very difficult decision to go find help. And so they walked to the top of the mountain to see if they could see greenery, like green lands over like on the other side. And when they got to the top, to their not so pleasant surprise, they saw that it was just snow as far as the eye can see. And at that point, they had the decision to make of whether to stop and just die right there, turn around and let everybody know that they couldn't do it, or just keep going. So what did they do? They just kept going until they finally reached help, and that's ultimately how they were able to get out. If you guys want the full detailed story, there's a movie, there's documentaries. If you want to watch the movie's really cool. It's called Alive. I recommend you guys go out and watch it. It's such an inspirational film. All right, guys, well, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Love ya. See you. Oh, make sure that you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Bye. These guys started eating each other. And I don't mean in like a nasty way. No, I'm just kidding.